welcome back here today on Former Cryptic. You are with me, of course, Former Cryptic, and today we are going to watch the Canadian GP unravel while the lobby piles up and gets itself underway. I'm going to get my stream up and then post it into the promotional channels there. If YouTube, of course, lets me view my streams, which tends to be a common trend. Well, 27 seconds left. Yeah, race start now. So before cars actually get out on track, let's run through some of the fast facts and the race brief I have been provided here today. So Canada, it's a fairly good circuit in my eyes. I quite like it. Well, I got my first Cryptic Racing League win, so a bit of bias there. But yeah, 14 corners. It's primarily a high-speed setup because there's a lot of straights. There's a really long double straight section in the final sector and the start of the lap. So of course it's high speed, low downforce, traction profile medium overall. There's quite a few chicanes, so it's very difficult to keep a strong balance, but then the grip profile, it's fairly low, so expect to see some of the cards sliding left and right throughout the race. In terms of braking, fairly low as well, just due to how there are so many heavy braking points which just keep hitting you. It's almost relentless. Tyre degradation, however, due to the very simplistic complexity of the corners, it's fairly low in terms of tyre deg. You can probably go half the race on a set of mediums. In terms of track evolution, it is rapid because cars are going around the circuit so relentlessly. A very short lap of about 1 minute and 10 seconds. So it's just perfect to go through it all. In terms of the toughest corner, I personally set the final chicane, but this brief says turn 1 and final hairpin, which I thoroughly disagree with. But yeah, over history of this league, 67% chance of either a safety car or a VSC, with a pit stop time being about 20 seconds under racing conditions. When it's a safety car or VSC, drop that down to about, I'd say, 12 seconds. But we are getting ready to see Kartoffee going underway for his first run and the first run of this event. Out of the final corner he goes up to the line. Let's quickly set up my elementary, and there we go, through turn 1, chucking it right. One of the first easy complexes, as then it goes to a swooping hairpin. But now anyways, down into turn 3, brake about now, just chuck the car straight in, right left. You see the car just sliding towards the outside wall. But anyways, it's a 19.6 at the end of the first sector. Just follow through this chicane. If you go too much on the curb, your rear end's going to slide. It's one of those circuits. But now DRS wide open. Get as close to the inside wall as you can. Now just move out wide under that bridge and chuck it through the next chicane. Heading up into the final sector. DRS detection point just went over. When you're in 1 second in the race, you can use it. But anyways, through the hairpin, he's took a fairly wide entry and a fairly more narrower exit, which is a fairly efficient line. But it's double purple, but it's the first car to do both sectors. Anyways, heading now down the final main straight. Best overtaking opportunity probably into that chicane. It's risky, but it's really effective. And then up to the line. It's a minute 10 nil for the start of the session. Let's go to Fireball X. Hefastaf is heading up to the line for a hot lap of his own. But anyways, into the final 2 corners. Keeping it fairly nice and clean. Up to the line, what will it be? It's an improvement. It's a 1 minute 9.6. And then let's go down to Kaname, who's the trailing of the 2 Alpines. Micromash having the joys of dragging his teammate along here today. As anyways, through the final corner goes Micro Mash, and now Konami. Micro Mash sets a minute 9.3, but Konami thrashes it by a good 6/10, a minute 8.6 for the Alpine. As I want to say, Limitless Draco now out for his lap, as Marco has just gone second fastest, minute 9.1, and Limitless Draco now on his flyer. He's had a fairly up and down season, as results such as 9th and that in Imola, but then last time he wasn't really there, he wasn't his usual self. But then there's places like Spain where he comes home P2, so it's been a fairly inconsistent season, but hopefully as it progresses he's going to stitch it all up and get a really good final result. Going into the chicane now, however, keeping it nice and clean, really trying to avoid using too much of the entry curbs, which I think is a fairly efficient tactic here. It's a 41.8 at the end of the middle through the hairpin. Now just follow that road down. It's on a fairly good run, I'd say, under the 2 Aramco bridges, as into the final corner, chuck it right, chuck it left, really push it, because you've got Wall of Champions. If you understeer out of it, you're in that wall, as it's a minute 9.8. As who should we follow on with? Let's go with Spinala King. Never mind, he's invalidated. Hefastaf instead, going through the hairpin. Let's see what he can get out of it though. Heading up to line, you can see a V-Carb and a McLaren in a fighting over track position before their run. That's Oggeeks and Ali Hayder, but Hefastaf out of final corner up to the line, really staying close to that outside wall of final corner, inside wall of turn 1, as Ali Hayder now starts his flyer as Spinala King limps into the pit lane. As it looks like Lex going through the final hairpin now as we speak. It's been a fairly busy session, but we still have 11.5 minutes to go of this before we can even go to the main event of the race. But trust me, it will be worth it, as Alex goes through the final few corners. Nice slipstream from Limitless Draco, being dragged down that straight up to the line, and it's a 4th place. Good lap by Alex. It's a good start to the session, to be certain, as Ali Hayden now dragging Oggeeks down the main straight. He's on mediums, whereas Ali Hayden's on the softs, and you can see a Red Bull doing some tyre warm up before a hot lap. And there's Ali Hayden out the final corner, keeps it clean, really gets up tight to the wall. And that was Fireball X who starts his lap. Ali Hayden 9th, and then looks like Oggeeks in 4th. So that is very impressive. Fireball X, however, on a run of his own now. Can he try and catch Konami, who's currently a second ahead of him? At the end of sector 1, it's 2.5 improvement, a quarter of a second. If he does that throughout the rest of the lap, he's certainly on the front row for now. As now heading up to the next chicane complex. There's of course 4 of them on this lap. First 2 corners I call a chicane, even though it's more like a left hand into a very sharp hairpin straight after. Then one at the end, literally next corner, then another one at the end of the sector, then one at the end of the next sector, and then one at the end of the following. So I'd say there's about 5. But anyways, enough of my chicane technical rambling. Into the final corner goes Fireball X. He's kept it clean. He looks like he's on a good run. Could put him up a few places over the line. And it's a minute 9.0, which is a 10th quicker than Marco. But still, no one's within 4/10 of Konami, who looks almost certain to get pole here. Marco, however, purple in the middle sector, getting really uptight with the wall, using all track width now. DRS in play down the last main opportunity to gain time, because at the end of this you can either lose a second or gain a second due to how hard you push out the final corner, really up against the wall of champions. So lucky not to hit it, probably because he ain't a champion, but he's gone second fastest. As Crazy Vertudo, maybe crazy, but he hasn't done a lap yet. This is his first, so let's stay on board for the remainder of it, as his teammates still in the pits. Sese in the Sauber, Soul Sauber, hasn't done a lap, and it's only got crazier. His first lap has been delayed as it's invalidated. Spinala King, however, he's heading down the final straight up alongside the lake, as of course this circuit is on a little island of its own on the outskirts of Montreal. Through the final two corners, does he keep it valid? Yes he does, up to the line. Will he put in top 10? It's close, but he's gone P9. It's very close between 8th and 10th, about 8 hundredths of a second, just over 10th between 8th and 11th. So yeah, let's go with Rumax. He's 5 seconds down by the looks of it. So let's go with Crazy Vertudo. He should hopefully be on another run. It doesn't look like he's harvesting based off the rear diffuser. There's no red light flashing. It's a 19.6 at the end of sector 1. It's fairly mediocre. It's going to be a run which sets a lap on the board, which you all want, but it probably won't be the most amazing of laps. I'd say possibly P8 from it, which is fairly good in terms of pecking order. It's a good set of points, as it's a 41.8 at the end of the middle sector. Just limping around that hairpin, you can see Kartoffee behind him, also on a flyer, as his teammate's actually on a flying of its own now. So both Astons shortly going to see both lap cars with a lap on the board. So yeah, we'll see what Crazy Vertudo can do out the final corner. It's looking very rapid by the looks of it, but it's only P12. He's only gone 4 thousandths off Kartoffee, who didn't make an improvement for himself. And now with DJ Death Dragon, we have 6 minutes and 44 left, and counting, as he chucks it through the chicane. You can see how low the ride height is, based off how the car's slightly elevating off each curve he uses. Just shows how much he wants to push. Off goes the Red Bull for the sake of letting him by. As Koname, he's improved. He's found about a 10th. It's not much, but it's enough to keep him on pole for now. Up to the final 2 corners goes DJ Death Dragon. Is he going to meet his death? No, he won't. He stays out of the Wall of Champions. And now up to the line, the Aston goes. It's a minute 9.7. It's 8th fastest. If he's on softs, take away 7 tenths. Top 4, I'd say, for him. As Fastaf is in pits. Fireball X, he's on a lap now. He's just done his out lap. Lex has actually moved into the top 3, as he sought an improvement in his run. Fireball X currently not improving, however we will stay on board in case he ends up finding a bunch out of nowhere, such as Monaco 2022. Max Verstappen in the Red Bull found about 3 tenths in final sector, but we've seen our first crash of the weekend. Fireball X off into the wall. Boy oh boy, that's just gonna hurt for Red Bull, because now it's all down to Fastaf to compete for pole. Fireball X, he's capped at 4th, which I think he will be very much fuming with. As into the pits goes Alex. As the Limitless Draco, he runs up to the line. What will it be? It's a minute 9.7. He found a 10th improvement. He's into 10th. Still not fully showing true strength here, as most cars in the pits. But Marco, however, instead of being in pits, he's setting purple sectors. He's setting the tracker lights here. Is he going to go to the top? Take provisional pole before last set of runs, maybe? Heading up to the final corner now. Break at about the 100-yard bollard. Get nice and wide on the exit. Now run. DRS wide open. It's a minute 86. It's not fastest, but he is getting there. It's only a tenth in the top 2 now, and about 4 tenths in the top 3. As, yeah, all drivers basically out on track. Well, in pits, apart from Womax, he's finding 2.5 tenths according to the timing board. So, hopefully, we see that Haas promoting himself off P14 on the grid and move up into the pecking order. As he crosses, it's a minute 9.9. Fairly consistent across the field. Fireball X has left the session before the race. Hello to the 5 of you watching, not many, but you're in time for the final 3 minutes of qualifying. All the cars about to come out on track. So before then, I'm going to have a very, very brief drink and then get ready to commentate this mess. So yeah, Rumax just currently casually driving for sake of it, just cutting each corner. If it's no rules, he'd definitely be on top, but unfortunately that's not the goal here today, isn't it? It's proper race time. As DJ Death Dragon, he's on an out lap. He's on the softs this time. Last time out it was on mediums. To be fair, Ogix was in as well, and they're both sitting 6th and 8th. Both are probably 7 tenths to find in a soft run. And it's best to say they are fully leaving the best till last. As through the final 2 corners, DJ Death Dragon goes to start up his flyer to see the end of the session. He's got enough time to do a backup flyer if need be, so he shouldn't be panicked at all. Going through turn 2, now up into turn 3. The number 90 shining very nicely against sunlight. Will he possibly shine in his flyer though? He's found a 10.5 or so in sector 1. That's still not enough to move him up to at least P7, but I guarantee you we are probably going to see much more as track evolution is quite high. Do another run on top of this and you could be really, really strong in terms of where you are placed. At the end of the middle, it's purple and about half a second up. That's going to put him into the top 5. If he finds another 10th or so, he's going to be in front of Fireball X when it comes to starting this race, which just is even worse for Red Bull. As going through the final 2 corners, don't invalidate there because it invalidates for your next lap. He doesn't do so. Now up to the line, and there's a minute 9.0. There's so many cars hitting fairly consistent runs with one another, as Kaname ever so slightly improving 5 thousandths of a second in the first sector. That would hardly do anything to his pole margin at the moment, but for all we know, then 5 thousandths gives him it. But end of sector 2, he's purple. Looks like a very popular place to go purple this weekend. Just shows how competitive the whole grid is across that middle part of the lap. As up to the final 2 corners goes Ganame, as there's 30 seconds for Hefastaf to start a lap, as Wumax is in the pits. Kaname, he's gone to the top. Marco's invalidated. He won't get another run by the looks of it. Lex ever so slightly down, but he's invalidated. DJ Death Dragon, he's on a slow lap. He's not going to go again. Micro Mash, however, he's about a 10.5 up. But instead of looking at him, we are going to look at Limitless Draco, who's just gone invalid. So we will flash back to Micro Mash, as DJ Death Dragon has returned from session in pits, but Ogix, he's invalidated, he's stuck in P7, and now Micro Mash, he's also invalid. So who's the next valid runner? It's gonna have to be Hefastaf. He's finding a 10.5 after sector 1, 2.5 after sector 2, and purple sector along with it. Kartoffee just doing some donuts to celebrate last of all the valid lap times. But anyways, up to the final corner goes Falstaff. He's got DRS, as you can see, underneath both bridges. Now slam on the brakes, turn right, turn left, keep out the wall as per usual, as Kaname's retired from session in pits. He looks like he's got pole. He will get pole. But will Spinelli King stop him? No, because he's invalid, and Kartoffee won't, as he's doing donuts. So there will be your pole sitter, Kaname in the McLaren, followed by Marco, then Lex, who last time I saw in top 3, I don't remember, especially in quali. It was sometime last season, but I've commentated a good 15 odd races now, so my memory's getting a bit fond. But yeah, there's your grid. DJ Death Dragon in 4th. Fireball X, after a premature exit of quali, he's in 5th. Micromash in the other Alpine 6th. Then our geeks, Ali Hader, Falstaff, Limitless Draco, Spinella King, Crazy Retudo, Rumax, Kartoffee being the soloist of the soft runners and medium runners. And then Sese didn't bother really doing qualifying, just wasn't in the mood, you know. But yeah, we have been told, ready up at 26 past 8 for a little catch up on the standings for those who are new, or for those who haven't been paying attention in general. It is currently Marco leading the championship. He is currently 12 points clear of Lex in the table. DJ Death Dragon, who's lining up alongside him, is only 2 points back on that. And Limitless Draco, he's on 57 points. So, and then Kaname on 56, Falstaff on 54. So it's perilously close in that top 6. Literally one mistake by any of them, and it's all flipped on their heads. As that is your standings for the Champions Edition. For the Constructors, however, Ferrari lead. They're on 60 points. However, their sole participant in 14th, so it doesn't look too decent. But this is dated from a few races ago, so I'm finding the more updated one after San Marino. Mercedes on 117, McLaren on 94, Red Bull on 90, Alpine on 86, Aston on 85, Ferrari on 77, so it's perilously close there. And we've got at least one car from each team racing. We've got 2 Astons, we've got 2 McLaren, 2 Red Bull, 2 Alpine. So that's bound to change quite a bit, as Williams and Sauber actually tied over 7th on 64 points. So as there's one participant from both, it's going to be a matter of fact who finishes ahead of who in terms of who bags it. However, fastest laps this season, Kaname in Bahrain, then Marco in Saudi, Kartoffee in Spain, and then Marco again in San Marino. So you can tell that Marco is probably one of the quicker drivers on the grid. However, that can all change, because Kaname, he's got the most pole positions in this season, if I'm right. We have been given permission to ready up. As I've just found out, this is Kaname's first pole of the season. But yeah, they will be going underway in a brief moment, so please stay with me as it's about to kick off. Cars have lined up on the grid. There's 4, now 5 red lights. They're gone, so are the drivers, and away we go here in Canada, as Kaname gets the better start of the front row. He's on the hards, So is Marco, just better traction. DJ Death Dragon, however, he's the interesting outlier. He's on mediums in the top 3. He's going to be trying to push his way up through the order and lead as much as he can. Track position matters here. And Doggeeks, he's had a fairly poor start. He's dropped down. Fastaf in the second Red Bull, also on mediums. He's trying to push his way up the pecking order here. As a whole, it's been fairly quiet of a start. Usually we see a lot more action. As, talking about action, there's their Fastaf alongside with Ali Hader into the hairpin. Ali Hader on the inside, their Fastaf taking a slightly wider line. And it looks like it's all kicking off there as Rumax switch back in Kartoffee. And then we just see Sese in his own world going through that hairpin. But into the final corner, we see Marco being overtaken by DJ Death Dragon. It's Death Dragon's chance to really reassert himself in this championship. Kaname fastest a lap, but the lead is the reason why. But I don't think that will last too much longer, as the Aston Martin getting very close up to the back of him. And genuinely looks like it's his race to win here. As Ali Hader, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. We're on the second lap here. As Sese, he's already practically a pit stop back on the field. As Micromash, he's gone round by the looks of it. There you can see the Alpine getting back underway. It's a virtual safety car. As a result, the field has neutralised itself. There's 35 laps here. Migrating host, as Micromash has left the session. So that's why it's all gone blank. As I believe it's a red flag. If it ain't, then the game's bugged out, and what will need to be done is a lobby reset. Lobby's just crashed. Yeah, lobby has crashed. So, yeah, we will have to reset, or yeah, we've got a lobby reset incoming. Let me try and find lobby settings where possible. That could be quite an important aspect. Yeah, fun. Yeah, I see you smiling, but I know you ain't okay, you ain't the way that you used to lift me back. You know you ain't happy of him. Yeah, currently trying to invite via PlayStation. Bear with. Done. Ah, this is a bit haywire, chat. Just bear with us because I've now got a host lobby, which is fun. So, chat, what's going to happen is I will return in a few minutes. Going to reset my game.